Hi, welcome to Bonita's Kitchen and thank you for joining us. What I'm going to be making today is a delicious date nut loaf. Today's recipe is a viewer's request and I thank you for suggesting this one and any of our viewers' requests. We try to get to each and every one of them. And as well, what I'm going to do before I get started telling you the ingredients and what you need to do, I'm going to put 1 cup of water into my saucepan to get it boiling, and then I'll tell you what that is all about. Just going to turn that on. So the reason for boiling some water, we want to put our dates in to get those dates a little softer, and I'll tell you the ingredients we'll put in there after this is boiled and all of the rest. So let's get started. Okay, so what we'll do first, after the water is boiled, we're going to turn this off then. We don't need it boiling. We're going to put 1 cup of dates, and this is loose dates, but if you don't have the loose dates and you get the block, you could use that. There's 1/2 cup of butter or margarine, and there's 1 cup of brown sugar. Then into the dry ingredients, we're going to have a teaspoonful of cloves. We're going to have baking powder, salt, mixed nuts, baking soda, some more water, and flour. So what I'm going to do now is put these ingredients here, the 4 top ones, into my boiling water. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the water, off the pot, and I'm going to remove the lid. And what we'll do first, we're going to put in the cup of dates. Now the pot is turned off because it'll keep boiling for a little bit until all of this is in there. We'll put the dates in, the 1/2 cup of butter, the full cup of brown sugar, and 1 teaspoonful of cloves. So I'm going to mix that around in there now. Okay, so after, just a recap on what we just did, after the water is boiled, turn the water off, and that's 1 cup of water. Turn the water off, then add in your dates, your margarine or butter, your cloves, and your brown sugar. So let that set there now off the heat for about 15 minutes. Then what we're going to do next, while we're waiting for this, we're going to sift in our dry ingredients into the bowl. Okay, so what we're going to do is sift in 2 cups of flour, and I'm using today golden crust flour, and this flour is made here in Bay Roberts, Newfoundland. So, and it works really nice for me. I enjoy using this flour, and I've used all types of flours, but this one seems to come out good every time. So that's 2 cups of flour, a teaspoonful of baking powder. We're using baking powder and baking soda in this one, so I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right ingredient. So baking powder, and about a teaspoonful or 1/2 teaspoonful of salt, whatever you decide you want to do. Sift this into a bowl. A big bowl. So just sift it all in, and that's all you need to do with that. Okay, so I hope you're following along nice. So that's all you need to do there. So we got 2 cups of flour with a teaspoonful of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoonful of salt. I'm going to be putting in 1/2 cup of mixed nuts, and I'm just going to toss that on into the bowl, and pretty much all I'm doing there is just mixing that around. So what we're going to do next, now that our dates and the butter, brown sugar is been setting for 15 minutes, what I'm going to do now is stir this, and I'll show you what else I'm going to add into it. So pretty much all we were doing there is putting the dates, and it just softens them up a little bit and makes, gets everything melted in together and all of the flavors mixed. So what we're going to do now is put a teaspoonful of baking soda into a 1/4 cup of cold water this time. You're going to stir it around like this, and you're going to pour it on into this mixture. And what that's going to do now is even cool down this water a little bit more, because what we're going to do is blend it into our flour now, baking powder, salt, and our mixed nuts. This is a delicious date nut loaf, and it don't have any eggs. Like, I'm sure you've noticed that already, that I haven't showed anything to do with eggs. So you're going to be so amazed with it. So what you're going to do now is just slowly mix this in there. Now you can do this both 2 ways. You can put this into the bowl and sift your flour and that into it, or you can just gradually put it in there. So I'm just going to take this now and dump it all down in the center of this. It'll be a little more easier for me for working. And then you're going to mix it all in. Just go like this until all of your flour and everything is combined. Okay, as you can see, this is all blended in there nice. You can see the nuts, you can see the dates, and this batter is almost like what you would make and do your pudding, your steamed puddings, but for this one we're going to be baking it in the oven. So now I'm going to get my loaf pan and I'm going to show you what we'll do next. So we're coming right along now. We're getting all the steps done nice, and again I hope you're following along and is interested, and you're going to want to make this. So right now pretty much all I'm going to do is pour all of this mixture into my loaf pan. If you don't want to use a loaf pan, now this is called date nut loaf, so obviously there's a pan for putting it into. But if you want to use your bundt pan or cake pan, that's entirely up to you, if it makes it easier. So put a bit of parchment paper in the bottom of your pan first and oil your pan. I get that done in advance, and these are all bread pans, so a lot of the time I don't even have to oil them, because they kind of got their own oil embedded in them. Okay, so let's just scoop all this into the pan. Okay, so that's pretty much all of this into the pan, and then what you would do after you've scooped it all in there, you would give your pan a little shake. You want to shake it evenly. You want to make sure there's no bubbles in between, just to get it to settle down. And now I'm going to tell you what you need to do next. Okay, so what we're going to do now is turn the oven on to 400 degrees, and we're going to set the timer for 45 minutes. It could be a little less, it could be a little more, depending on your oven, but 45 minutes is more than enough for my oven. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reach for the one that's already done and put this one in there. Okay, so put it in the center of your oven, in the middle rack. I get a lot of questions about that one. So middle rack, put your loaf in the center, put up your oven door, 400 degrees, and set the timer for 45 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is dump this one out onto a plate and show you what it looks like. So now we're going to have the big reveal. Take our loaf out of this pan. Now I was going to put the plate up and do it, but it's only a small loaf, so I just figured I'd put it up to my hand. Parchment paper in the bottom, it'll freely take the loaf out a little bit better. I'm going to put them there now, and what I'm going to do is cut into it, show you what it looks like. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, and this is still hot, so I'm using sort of a serrated knife to cut into it, because I don't want cutting into anything hot sometimes is a little difficult. Okay, so just cutting through. As you can see, the steam's coming up there now. I'll just put my knife down for a second. Just look on the inside. You can see all the dates. You can see the nuts and the color is just absolutely beautiful, and the steam coming up there with the smell of cloves. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put it here on my plate. I'm going to cut another piece, and then I'm going to get some butter because I think I want a butter on mine. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of butter over mine, and you can put whatever you like over this. You could put icing sugar, butter, jam, or even cook down some more dates and put some dates over it. Lots of dates in this. 1 cup is tons, but if you want more, just add more. So what I'm going to do now is break off a little piece and have a little taste. Okay, I'm just going to have a little taste there. Those dates, absolutely delicious. And the texture of the loaf, you could taste the cloves and the nuts. So good. Okay, my tea is equally as delicious as the loaf. Date nut loaf. If you haven't made it before, this is a perfect, beautiful, easy recipe to make. I hope our viewer that requested it is pleased with this recipe and would like to give it a go. And if anyone else got a recipe that your family made years ago, and we here in Newfoundland, traditional Newfoundland recipes is what I'm really promoting. But if it's something else that you can provide a recipe for me, give me a little bit of idea of what I'm going to be doing, I would love to do it on my show. But this one, definitely give it a try. And if you enjoyed this recipe and you want to see more of our traditional, non-traditional Newfoundland recipes, viewers' requests, and some of my choices and my own recipes, you can go to www.bonitaskitchen.com, our Facebook page, and go and subscribe if you haven't already done so on our YouTube channel. So thank you for joining us once again here on Bonita's Kitchen. From our kitchen to yours, God bless, and you have a wonderful day.